from Chris's setup instead of a soft setup. So hopefully we don't have any internet issues. So hello everyone. Chris, we good? I'm
Welcome.
imagining that we're broadcasting now.
I think
Go
it's
ahead.
a great imagination, though.
Okay. Here we are. So saludos to Mexico and St. Louis, Salt Lake City, Netherlands, everyone, Canada. Hello to everyone. Welcome to the Great Transition. Hello, Chris, behind the scenes, taking control of the ship tonight. And hello, Asaf.
Yes. Hey, everyone. Yo, yo, yo. Yes.
So, Asaf, I was in 2000, we were all ready for the world to end. And then in 2012, were you aware in 2012 when the Mayan calendar kind of finished and thought we were
that's where Hollywood had more another like reason.
I wasn't tuned into Hollywood at the time, but I had this book about the Mayan calendar also. I was wondering what was going on over there. No, it's happening again. Where the experts have warned that time is running out.
Yes.
We don't take, if leaders, they tell us, if the leaders don't take the leaders in their limousines and private jets, don't take drastic action to reduce emissions immediately, we're going to suffer climate catastrophes, devastating sea levels rising, intense heat waves, widespread species loss. However, we have a problem. It's cold in a lot of places and we need heat. And not only that, you know that my business is, my normal Clark Kent business is around appliance. It has something to do with appliances. I was talking to one of the manufacturers this week. He told me that the number of shipping containers, all the stuff coming into the U.S., the number of shipping container increase is up 40% from 2019. There's a 40% increase into Los Angeles of crap. And in the New York port, it's like 25% since 2019. That's, we need a lot of crap. I mean, maybe we don't need it, but we...
it's currently what we drive the demand for it.
Yeah,
as a society. Yeah.
So we need, on the one hand, we have a serious problem, we're being told about this climate, and we need to reduce emissions immediately. On the other hand, people need to stay warm. In China, they heat themselves. Coal is a big part of that. Yeah, it's going to be like -0, below freezing in big parts of the world this winter. They need to burn emissions. And we need all this stuff. So we have to keep the factories running. We have and then the world is coming out of poverty at the same time. So more people need more stuff. So there was, maybe this is a silver lining, there was a big climate conference. It just happened. Jeff Bezos, I think he was there. He flew in on his private jet. He pledged $2 billion to save the planet. So thanks, Jeff, for
thank you.
Simultaneously destroying it at a much, much faster pace. But he's a puppet. He doesn't understand that. And really, no one in humanity has any kind of shame about what we're doing. So there was about 70 private jets that landed there in Scotland in the days leading up to the conference. So it's a very serious, this climate situation. The United States president, would also probably be interested to know. And by the way, you have no idea how much news I have to consume in preparation for the show. The United States president, which otherwise I would have no idea what was going on in the world if it weren't for the show.
Or Kabbalist has to plug into the world.
I have no idea what was going on in the world. The president of the United States, on his way to Scotland, he stopped off to see the Pope. The president.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. He's the.
Wow. It's very exciting.
He's the second Catholic president. I think JFK was the first one. He's the second Catholic president in the United States. So his motorcade on his way to see the Pope had over 80 cars, and many of them Yeah,
very
climate
carbon
conscious.
emission
Yeah.
friendly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and there was some videos of them idling, idling, just sitting there running their engines. So listen,
Mhm.
it's a complicated situation. These powerful leaders, I can just kind of cut to the chase. I don't think our solution is going to really come from these guys. They certainly
Mhm.
aren't making any changes in their lives.
I have a feeling that a lot of our listeners and those who don't agree with you.
They
I don't
do agree.
really
You think they
think.
do agree with
Yeah,
me?
yeah, I don't really think that people think that something will come out of these committees. I think it's a. I think
Mm.
people. I think that people see through the hypocrisy that, like you just explained. Like the examples you just gave, and I think that there's also. It's just that people, a lot of good people, want a better. Want us to treat the environment better. They just don't. They're not sure what to do. So they think, let's vote in for this regulation or that regulation or something. But I don't really think that people, you know hold these committees at a high, oh, it's very critical what's going to happen. Now come on, like everyone knows there's business interests and political interests in this whole green economy thing. Everyone knows there's a anyway. What, you disagree? You don't think? You think that people think of these
I, you know,
these things as critically important and like.
I'm having a hard time reading what's going on right now. I don't when you say things like that, like you often say like,
Yeah.
"Oh, people understand that." Or you're like, "Oh, yeah, no, I don't I think people are very
Uh-huh.
skeptical of the leaders." You say that stuff so
Yeah.
matter of factly, like cavalier, like people understand this. And then like I look outside, I'm like, "Do they? Do we
I
really
think they
understand?"
do. I think that maybe
Your small bubble around you do.
undoubtedly you're also right about that. but here's why maybe I can add a little bit of a clarity to it. I I'm not saying that people are super conscious of what is going on behind the scenes. I think that I also separate between action and perception. I think people still are taking action. They're still there's also this constant influence on us from the news, like, oh, the committee met, the Paris Accord, the climate this or that, the UN came out with this stupid, CGI dinosaur that's going to tell us to stop driving ourselves to
Hold
extinction.
on.
You saw that thing?
You shouldn't
So,
run past that because the drama of such an idiotic campaign in the face of such a serious situation
right?
really shows the hypocrisy and
Cognitive dissonance, even
cognitive
beyond
dissonance. I am
like,
so
what are
cognitively
we
dissonant in this world going on
exactly?
right now.
So
Explain this
okay,
dinosaur
wait.
thing just for the dramatic effect of it.
Okay, okay. There we go. Here's our
Oh
dinosaur.
God.
What? So
There was a whole
what?
video. No, it's yeah, people are really up in arms about it. Like you spend all this
Are
money and all
people
this
up in
time
arms
just
about
to
it?
well, the internet.
Yeah. No,
They
that's
they
what I mean.
don't
I didn't
what are
realize
you
that
going to
people
do?
were.
You're spending all this money to, it's not a cheap production. You've got, technology, you have
Yeah,
people, it's
yeah,
not
exactly.
So let
Mhm.
everyone know what this is. So they made a movie about a dinosaur talking about it. The UN spent a bunch of money
Mhm.
to hire famous Hollywood people.
Yeah,
Feel great about this.
someone sent me the video, which was already dubbed into Hebrew. So this was also, dubbed into many different languages, I assume, because I saw it, with Hebrew dubbing, and obviously the origin is English. And there we go. And so there's this video where the dinosaur, as if, goes steps into the UN, to the whatever the council, however you call that room there, and it goes like, let me tell you something about extinction. I know about extinction. It's not, you don't want to go that route. That's a very bad place to go. Something like that, something to that effect, right?
Okay.
So
Bottom
that
line.
is just bottom line is that is really how we are responding in the face of extinction in the face of, our
No,
existence
somebody
is
got
at
some budget
stake.
money.
That's,
Somebody got some budget and had a blast for working on that for like a year or something,
yeah.
hiring Hollywood people, bringing in, catering.
Well, they do these things much faster these days, not a year, but yes, they,
Okay.
they had fun. That's but it just kind of shows you, it shows you eh, on the one hand, you can say, they're trying to reach people in a way that they're reachable. Social media, short videos, make it visual, make it creative, but it's such a cognitive dissonance as opposed to the message there that we're kind of trying to communicate through the medium. There's such a cognitive dissonance between the medium and the message here, and I think that is what. Thank you for forcing me to explain this. Now I can make my point. I think that is what people are feeling. That is what I argue. I think that regardless of what they do, they still vote for this person or that person. They'll still say, this regulation or that regulation. They still hope maybe for things to change. Maybe they have hope for solar or wind that will change things, electric cars, if they don't know too much about, all the coal that's burned for it. But I think there's action level where people who want to do good, who want the environment to be in a better place than it is right now, they're doing actions. But I think the cognitive dissonance is already there. People feel, I argue, okay, that's how I read the environment, and that I think that people feel like those committees and those accords between countries and those discussions between the leaders, it's not really the medium through which we can actually solve this problem. It's not and I think that people do question the interests, political and money interests behind these things, and they know that
Okay, so
it's a business in many ways.
I'm not sure. I think that that's out there. I don't know how widely that's adopted. I still think that people, well, we know from the wisdom of Kabbalah that everyone's motivated by emotions, right?
Yes.
And I still think that there's this very primal emotion in us to want there to be a bad guy, and that the bad guy is outside of me.
Okay.
And because what this does is this allows me to feel calmer about my life, and it allows me to not have to change.
True.
Because if the problem is really, really big, and I can,
like too big to take on, kind
too
of
big
thing.
for me to deal with, with
Yes.
my limited resources, if I can pin the problem on somebody outside of me, some other culprit, the oil industry, this politician or that one, and I can vote against them and like put a couple soda cans or water bottles in the recycling thing every week. So like I'm clean. I did my part.
I can feel good about myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and not in some I feel good about. I just think that that's more what's running inside of people, because the problem is so big. And here comes a very, very interesting question. Are we actually governing nature? Right? Like the guy, like Jeff Bezos, like, is he like causing all this pollution, or is nature actually creatively and consciously developing a Jeff Bezos? Did nature make a Jeff Bezos? Did nature make McDonald's to chop down all these rainforests? Is this what nature is doing? If it is, what do we get from that? Or no, we're just plop down here and a couple people are bad. We should point a finger at them and try and vote them out or change that. So.
Why are we? Let me just add to the questions. What is the big problem with us? What's the big deal? I mean, think about this climate crisis as something that's happening in your home, right? Let's say you're the guy, you come home or whatever. Think about let's say like a big family, lots of kids. Let's just make the analogy more vivid, right? Like lots of kids. You have a nice house, many different rooms, kids at different ages. So let's say I'm coming home, and I'm noticing there's a fire in the backyard, and I'm like, guys, seriously, like there's a fire in the backyard, like come on, we gotta do something about it, right? And then one of the children goes like, wow, I really want to help you with that, but they just put on, like, they Seinfeld is now on
I'm in the
Netflix.
middle of a
Like I
game. There's like
I
10
didn't,
minutes left
yeah,
in this
exactly.
game. Can we do
And
it after the
and
game?
I'm like, okay, but you're not gonna have any game if the fire's gonna. Yeah, but who knows if the wind is gonna really blow in this direction? And come on, and there's also, but can I just finish the game? Can I just like really just like finish it and then help you with whatever you want? Can I just, and and the wife goes like, can you help me with the groceries and then I'll attend to your stuff? It's like, so, and it's like that's kind of the situation that we're in, right? So what's the, honestly, that's pretty much it, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can add more arguments there and more like perspectives. Like, I don't know if maybe we don't even need the backyard. Yeah, but it's gonna
Okay,
go
hold
into
on,
the
hold
house
on.
too.
You know what it's like? Sometimes wow,
No,
we need education so bad. And I don't mean just like math and science. We really need to understand life like so much. There's like a very, very simple, um, if you have a problem, you're like $15,000 in credit card debt. It feels paralyzing. It feels like paralyzing, right? Or if you're like
mm,
$150,000 in debt, or like you can't pay your mortgage because
yes.
whatever happened, some unexpected medical thing, or you can't sleep at night, right? And a problem like that could take 10 years to dig yourself
Hmm.
out of a hole like that,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Or like you're a drug addict, and it's like it could take me 2 years to get out of this. And so that's on one side of the scale. And the other thing is, the just to continue playing my video game until the game is over, whatever's on the other side of the scale, it's very difficult to understand what action to take when a problem is so big. When I was younger, when humanity was younger, if I needed food, I would figure out a way to like bring food into the house. If I needed to another car, so then I would figure out how to, we would to have two incomes and we would get another car. If you're talking about like
Yeah.
earth catastrophe, like the whole sea is going to rise, like this problem is so big, humanity is facing a problem with, the honest answer is we do not have a solution. That's the honest
Dude,
answer.
it's a paradox, because on the one hand there's the scale, the vast, the gigantic scale of the problem which you point out, but on the other hand, as big as it is also evasive. It is also not immediate, viscerally, urgently immediate to our eyes. This is the paradox with with this climate thing. We know something's big is coming, but it still looks far. It's like the person looking at the tsunami and he goes like, oh, that's a cool wave. Oh, it's getting bigger. Oh my god, I gotta go run somewhere. Now we're able to tell ourselves through science and scientific predictions and everything, like, and also, look at the little by little what's happening. Look at this year as opposed to the year before and all that. We can see that in our mind's eye, but we can't, it doesn't touch our immediate desires, our
This is
We've never
immediate
experienced it
sense
before.
of,
We've never had this time where, we all the history books that we have, we've never been able to look back and say, oh yeah, the guys in the 1800s also went through, a similar, everything's on fire, everything's about to flood. So we should learn from their experience. It's like for the first time, our generation, this humanity is going through a thing like, oh wow, nature's actually has this reaction.
there's something to be said, yeah, about that. I mean, you could argue that world war happened, world wars happened more than once. So did we learn anything from the first one before the second one? Are we going to learn something before the third one? Question.
this is something that
Yeah.
separates us, Monkey Plus, we call ourselves, or I call us, from Monkey and everything before Monkey. We can write a book or make a clip or say, hey, people in the future, or someone in the past can say, hey, people in the future, let me tell you what happens if such and such, and send it into the future. And then the people in the future, they don't have to
Mm.
go through, like monkeys can't do that, or giraffes can't do that. They can't like write a letter
Right.
to future giraffes like, listen, you guys act chill. But really, it's just a decoy, because when you act chill, there's a lion hanging out over there. Imagine if giraffes could like
Hmm.
send letters to future giraffes,
Yeah.
then giraffes wouldn't be eaten anymore. They would always figure out, okay, you stay on duty, and when he comes, you're going to kick him with your leg. And then the lions would figure out, okay, we're going to eat, something else, because the giraffes
Hmm.
figured it out. They can't do that. None of these other species can do that. We can do that. The problem, and we have that. We have all the books.
Hmm. So why don't we do it?
Okay, this is
Yeah,
why also, because
that's
we're still, even though we have the ability to write those books, the feeling power, the emotive power in us is still the ruling power. That's the thing, like with teenagers, like even if you tell them they need to go out and feel it themselves, that's exactly what happens
Yeah.
at that period of life. We
Mhm.
need to feel, to know. And that there's some kids who like just do everything that mom says to do or dad says to do their whole life. And it's like, it could be a great person, but there's some kind of inner force that's like not there. When a person goes out and makes mistakes and feels something, that person stands there. There's like an inner power. So we have to deal with that. So the magic of what we want to be able to do is create the emotions of a future life that's meaningful and compelling, so that we
Yes.
can drive towards that without
That's education, man. You said education. That's education. Bringing the future into the present.
emotionally.
That, yes, like making the future so tangible so that we can act now towards it. That's
As if
essentially
it's the future.
what
As
education is.
as if
What?
it's already, as if it's the future.
Yes.
There's an awesome,
Or you can say um, showing the possible futures and making both all of those options very tangible to us, and showing how it depends on our action today, how the kind of environment, the kind of moves that we make today, how they create us and our life and our world in the future. Knowing this now, that going through that process, that we can call education. Yeah.
Do we even?
There's
My question is: do we even need to solve this climate crisis? We put this in a description because it was something that's like, okay, everyone else maybe has their own take on the climate crisis. Obviously, the UN has their own take, or some other YouTubers or podcasters have their own take. But our question is kind of: do we even need to solve that problem? That's what I want to understand today.
you go, and I'll beat you back onto the track if you go too far off.
I would continue. Okay, I would continue from us. What is our problem? Let's go back to that depiction of, you go back home and your wife and your kids and whatever, and you go like, there's a fire in the backyard and everyone's like in their own thing, and now they're starting to fight. Who's going to go help you first? But it's like, but you're taxing me, or you're taxing my sister. It's like that kind of thing. So the question I'm asking is this: what is our problem? If we recognize that something like our very existence and the existence of our children and grandchildren, even our children is at stake, what's the big deal? We're smart, intelligent, created beings. We can just make a plan and act on it. We have the science to understand how to, let's say, I that's a quick tangent. I don't really know. I wouldn't say that humans really understand how the natural system works. I think that we think we understand some of it. But anyway,
problem, just to say that the problem with science typically is that it's like is where the money comes from. So I'm using money as shorthand, because it really depends. We know from last week's show, it depends on what you're studying. So if you have a motivation to discover one thing
Yeah, sure.
of the funding for certain kind of research, you're gonna find certain things. So
No doubt, the funding and the sources of it affect the desired research. Of course, we're aware of all that, but let's put the focus on the human issue at the moment. So the problem is with us. The problem is with us. One thing that is you can
is the
argue
problem,
about.
hold on, is the problem if New York and Florida are going to be underwater, is the problem that we
Yes.
keep building by the shoreline? Are you saying like, okay, well, let's just look at the science. Let's say we could remove like money interest from the science and we understand, yes, it's true the sea level is going to rise. Why? Whatever. It's a different story.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
basically.
just move inland, or let's just, build some other kind of building. Is that the problem? I mean, okay, fine. We
Um,
solved it. We solved it.
I'm,
And
I'm,
actually, you know what? I like that the ocean is now 10 miles from my house instead of 30 miles from my house. And actually, I like that it doesn't snow here in the winter. So, okay, we solved the climate crisis. When you say the problems with us, what's the
I'm just
problem?
starting. I'm starting from a very simple thing that is agreed upon by most people today. This is like the bread and butter of earth scientists right now, and everyone is like, this is something that is not really under debate. Human activity does influence the climate destabilization. This is something that is generally agreed upon. That's all I'm talking about. I'm still not going to a deeper layer here. I'm just starting
Okay.
very simple. Okay.
Okay.
So the problem that the dangers that are ahead of us are exacerbated by and are driven by human activity. Let's not get into the details right now. Is it's more like, where do we live, how much carbon emissions our carbon footprint, do we need to recycling or not recycling, green energy and all that. Let's put the details aside. Human activity uh, is making our planet bad for us, a bad place for us to be. So I'm
Emotionally and
asking.
physically
Yeah. Emotionally, right now we're focused on the
and
climate, but
psychologically.
absolutely, it's absolutely an integrated picture here. So, but let's focus on the climate. So, I'm saying something simple. I'm just highlighting a question. If we recognize the problem is in our activity, why is it so difficult for us to ourselves together and just make a plan that we all agree to follow and just do it? What's the problem? Why are we not doing it? I mean, why are we not doing it? So that's where you go into asking a bigger question about human beings. What is it like if you saw a pack of zebras that have to now run from the lions? They would quickly just huddle together in some way and run away to a different place, right? If the penguins know how to keep each other warm in a community, they have this cool thing that they're doing, and that's how they survive the winter. You know what I'm talking about. So what's the problem with humans that now that we're seeing this catastrophe coming, why can't we just get our act together? What's the problem? So I think here we have to ask a deeper question about human nature. Let's look at what is unique in that respect. We have this whole layer of human relationships that does not exist in other animals, where there's deceit and corruption, and we take control of each other in a very sophisticated and cunning way. And even if we make agreements, then we'll find ways to kind of get around them. And if I'm the leader of a country, then I'll make sure that I still have some sort of an edge. And in that committee, I already to begin with, I'm influenced by all kinds of other interests and lobbyists that are trying to take me to sway my decision.
You could do a lot with Elon Musk's $6 billion. You could do a lot with that. What do you mean? He wants to sell $6 billion worth of Tesla stock. What do you mean?
So now, great. So now you have a question: where will it go? Who's going to use it? Who's going to approve it? Who's going to, who's going to make the actual decision of how to use that $6 billion? And then you've got arguments and corruption and deceit going around that. There's the human element is what we're dealing with. That is the real problem. There's no climate problem. The climate
human problem,
itself,
right?
Take the human out, the climate's fine. You know what I mean?
Wow.
There's no
nice one.
That's the problem. So we're dealing.
There's no
with
problem with the climate. There is no. We need to rebrand this. There is no problem with the climate. The climate is with the problem is with the people.
Exactly, and it's definitely not the cats, the dogs, or the insects or the birds that are
oh my God! Hold on, I saw a thing. You're not going to believe this. I wish I took a screenshot of it. There's some thing that like it goes on the front of the cow's mouth or something and catches his burps because it says the methane from the cow's burps is like yeah.
I think that I'm just pouring water. I'm just pouring water. What?
What do you mean?
Say it again.
You said the problem is not with cows or with, there it is. Cow burp catcher will help. What's the headline say? Will help reduce methane emissions by 60%. This is another one of their great ideas. Look at us. Show us a picture again.
What?
When a cow burps. God. Yeah. Can you believe
this? First time I see this.
Can you believe this idiocy?
This is
going to solve the climate crisis right here, guys. We should buy stock in this cow methane burp collector. Oh my God. Help us.
But yeah.
Maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
We need to, the problem is with, I think I just gave away the answer when I said, oh God, help us. we are the problem, ladies and gentlemen. There is no climate problem. There is no climate problem. There is no climate. There's no problem with the climate. Our planet was a ball of gas. Our planet was a ball of fire. Our planet was a ball of ice. Our planet vacillated between these things. Without a doubt, when we do stuff, we produce more carbon when we burn coal than we would without. If there was one volcano, there'd be a lot of carbon also. What we're talking about, if we understood our goal, maybe we should talk about our goal for a few minutes or something, because if we understood our goal, then we would know what where we're trying to get to. Because where are we trying to get to? I mean, if our goal is just to cut carbon, well then you can do that. You just make everything nuclear power, and now we cut carbon. Now what?
We wouldn't even have a goal if it wasn't for all these problems. So why are we even feeling all these problems in the first place?
I say that again?
We wouldn't even have a goal. Humanity wouldn't even be talking about this if there wasn't all these problems to begin with. So
right.
Then what's the purpose? Why are we? Humanity's been on this planet for a long time. They never had this conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, so what would we be doing if we didn't have this problem? You mean?
We'd have no reason to even talk about it. What does nature want from us? If it's putting us in this situation, and it's saying, okay, here's the hand you have, and we're saying we have this hand, but we're going to play a different card. We want to play the UN dinosaur card instead.
We need to look at nature's program. What is its goal in developing human beings? So there are laws that govern human development, and those laws are pushing us, are evolving us to a certain kind of level of development that we have to achieve one way or another. The problem is that we don't know it, and we're not aiming ourselves towards that, like we spoke about what education really is. Because if we knew what nature wants from us, if we knew where that, like Chris is pushing us to discuss, if we knew where that program is leading us towards, then maybe if we were able to educate ourselves about it and begin to make some mental steps towards that, then maybe the whole natural system would be more in balance. Because if everything it's doing is pushing us to a certain goal and we're standing in a way, then it's like standing in the way of a moving train. Then of course you're going to have imbalance. What are we doing here? What is happening in this human experience, in this global experiment we call human society? What's happening here is that we are gradually acquiring new qualities. We have to evolve to become something that we are currently not. Just like a child becomes a different being even when they grow from being a 5-year-old to a 10-year-old to a 15-year-old to a 20-year-old, it becomes a human being. And all of a sudden, all those steps in the childhood and youth they seem like they just steps that he had to take in order to become that person. So similarly, we are under the guidance of laws of development that are pushing us to a completely higher level of existence. It means a new mind, a new kind of perception of reality, and a way to feel each other and the surrounding nature.
If nature is responsible for this development, and nature is giving us such a big problem, why would nature is developing a lot of problems, to bring this, we're here living like our 100 years, but to go through billions of years of earthquakes and volcanoes and asteroids and floods and heat and viruses, what's the, is there, you're saying that it's unique now? Okay. And you're explaining why, but why it's unique. What's the benefit to this feeling creature to be feeling this now? Why, if this is all a natural development, what is the benefit that and nature wants to bring? What in that process of development, what is the benefit during that process of development for this critical state called the footsteps of Messiah, called the last generation, called the end of the 6,000 years? What is the benefit of this? Now we have a heart and a mind, and we can transfer wisdom from generation to generation. And we also have the internet, and we're working on building this critical mass, and we have this big problem in front of us. So what is the meaning of all of that?
Yeah, you're right. That's what we should explore next. So I'd put it like this. The only way that you can have a conscious being that can actually identify, sympathize, become similar to that quality of bestowal is through that quality of bestowal permeating it through that process called shattering. And from that shattering, that creature gradually will learn about the difference, the gap, the delta between our own nature and the nature of the force that we're up against, the nature of the force that's actually nurturing us, that actually is working with us. The climate crisis, to bring everything a little bit back into reality here, right? The climate crisis is just a manifestation, it's an indication of some limit that we've reached in how we are interacting with the quality, that quality of bestowal in an egoistic way. We are starting to see that we can no longer, we're bumping against limits. We're starting to hit the wall of trying to derive pleasure and fulfillment and livelihood from exploiting each other and the natural system. That's what the climate crisis is really showing us. That's why, to begin with, if we're going to try to, okay, let's just switch the energy source, let's cut the carbon emissions, and then, nothing here is going to work. We're not going to be able to come to any kind of agreement, and we're not going to really be able to do something that will change things, because it's not on that level that nature is pushing us to go. That's the whole problem here. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to be more friendly to our environment. I actually think that once we begin to sympathize with that governing force of nature, we'll develop love, dare I say, a considerate attitude, a friendly attitude, a relationship. We'll develop a relationship with everything, with the air, with the water, with the wind, with the animals. We'll feel all of that as our own. It will become a part of our own existence, different layers of
So
ourselves.
beautiful. So beautiful.
It will, but it can happen only if we change ourselves, if we expand our perception, if we rise to a higher level of
So we
consciousness.
literally start to feel this kind of love for the air, for the water, for everything. We feel this integration with all.
It provides for us. It's been providing life for us, for all of humanity forever. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's impossible otherwise. But guess what? On the way to loving the climate, to loving nature, we're gonna have to love each other too. That's gonna be the big deal here.
Check out this friend. Check out this friend of mine.
It's separable. It's part of the same process.
Check out this friend of mine. Check this dolphin out. Can you make it full screen so everyone can see it? He's blowing smoke bubbles. Oh, I can't see it. He's off to the side.
He's blowing smoke bubbles?
He's blowing smoke bubbles.
That's so cool.
So what you're saying is that even if a creature can blow smoke bubbles, even if a creature, thank you, Chris. I just get such a kick out of that video. There's pictures of parrots playing basketball, regardless of what any other creature is capable of. There's something that's unique to us through all of this process right now that is in our hands. You're saying we have...
yes.
We're up against... Well, here's where I need you to take my hand and take me across the finish line with this. We're up against a wall. Humanity is up against a wall.
Right? Just you wait. I think it's gonna be a lot. The hitting the wall is gonna be a lot more of a, it's gonna be felt really hard. Unfortunately, I think there's not gonna be a way around it. I think things are gonna get worse.
And it's
to be realistic here, yeah.
And it's on purpose from the side of nature, so that we understand and feel. At the end of the day, the purpose of this whole game is to fill us with endless fulfillment, right? So the question is, why is it so uncomfortable? Why are we going through this process that seems so uncomfortable in the meantime? Why do we emotionally need to feel? Like, isn't it enough to open up the ancient book of wisdom and be like, oh, just love each other, and then tell everyone else to love each other, and then you can be in balance and in harmony with the force of reality, and you'll be an eternal. You'll rise above time and space, and you'll be in endless bliss forever.
That's the difference between ants or fish or even the cells in our body and we humans. No, we can't. We just can't do this. No one is saying, let's hold hands, sing kumbaya, everything's going to be fine. No, everything's just not going to be fine this way. We have to be aware of our ego on the one hand. That's why humanity into the 21st century is discovering levels of egoism never before. And like you said, it's not that we didn't have dictators in the past and people who tortured people and all that. We had that, but never before we've become so sophisticated and cunning and deceitful and very specific in our ego. And that is actually
And what's
the,
I want to know what's the benefit of that? What's the value of that? Why is nature showing that? Why do we need to be despaired of all of our leaders? Why do we need to be despaired of media? Why do we need to feel that
yes.
my kids are not going to have a better future than me with with this economy, or that the school is failing them, or that I can't rely on my religion the way that I used to, or
Yeah.
that all of the food is filled with artificial this and the grass is covered with poisonous weed killer? And why?
Yeah.
Why does we need
Well,
to
well,
reveal that wherever I look is a problem?
I just glimpsed at the title of our show, and it says, "Can anyone solve this climate problem?" What we're going to have to discover, and that's the answer, is that we can't solve this problem on our own. Not our leaders, not our Elon Musks, not our tycoons, and not any smart kind of green energy recycling plan. That's just not going to work. What we have to do here is we need to connect the minus and plus of nature within us. They're balanced and connected on all other levels. The still, all those protons and electrons and whatever electric charges and positive charges, they know how to make stuff work and how to do it harmoniously. Instinctively, exactly. The vegetation knows how to do the same. All of the earth, you can argue, but wait, the earth went through crazy times of being cool and being warm, and now we're looking at some global warming of a few degrees. Right, of course, there was times when the earth was flammable until new species of animals were created to balance the oxygen levels that made it too flammable. So nature needed more animals to balance it with carbon dioxide. So of course, all of this balancing act is going on in nature for a long time. We are now part of the balancing act in a conscious way. That's the whole difference. Nature knew how to how to oscillate between the plus and the minus, these two forces, opposite forces of nature, through all the different species and keep it balanced. Even if humanity stopped polluting, it's a known thought. Even if we stop polluting the earth right now, it's going to take centuries until we repair the damage and all the let me add to that, all the plastic in the ocean and all the and the junk in space. By the way, that's another huge problem. But I don't think that's a correct understanding of nature. We don't understand we truly do not know how this whole natural system is held together, and what the conscious functions of the human being that are currently lacking in our experience of the material world, of this world around us, how that can influence the material world. We it's gonna sound very weird, but if we get into balance with nature, nature knows how to repair itself, just like your body knows how to, it knows what to do when you have some sort of a wound. If you just let it be and it has the right environment and your body can do what it's supposed to do, it has the mind, it has
Nature
the
can clean
knowledge.
all the water. Nature can clean all the air. Nature can make thousands of new species.
New species can emerge, exactly, that can clean things. We don't understand.
So you're telling me that that this guy can't solve? He can't solve it. Who's this? Oh, it's Bezos. He can't solve the problem.
What is that?
No, some guy made it. I can't show the audio, obviously, but
Funny.
it's a good little collection. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Anyway, that's where we're going, and yeah, I don't know what. How would you conclude this? We're at the end of the line here.
If you're like in a company, if you're working in the accounting department and you have a very big project,
Yeah.
it's like a very critical project. You need to understand all those things in the company need to be in order, right? And then you zoom out and you get to the sales department, and somebody's on a plane going somewhere to make the deal, because without making the deal to sell the product, there's no money coming into the company. And then
Right.
you have R&D, because if they don't make a product that can withstand, and then you have, the aesthetics to make the product look correctly. And then you have the CEO who like has the vision for the company. We're trying to solve the accounting problem. I mean, we're trying to solve the climate problem as if we're like the sales department, or if we're the accounting department, or if we're the
Right.
marketing department.
Yeah.
We're not seeing the whole picture of what's going on here. And that's what we wanted. That's what we attempted to speak about today, is that the real solution is in a place we're not looking at all yet. And it sounds very, very strange to think that somehow by me changing my internality, it's going to
The
fix.
outer world will respond.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, even we talked about it, even just a very simple logical step, just in order to get our act together and to work together to save ourselves, just for that we have to change ourselves. Even that's not gonna work. So even if you were to disregard all of the interconnectivity between us and nature that exists beyond our limited perception, even if you were just to rely on, let's get ourselves to stop this bad human activity that destroys, that destabilizes nature, even for that, you're going to have to get human beings to see each other, feel each other, work together, and feel nature in a new way. So you can't run away from this problem. There's no problem with the climate. There's a problem with the humans. And to solve that, we're going to have to rise to a new level of being. Yeah.
Great to be together. Wow. Awesome conversation, Asaf. Thank you so much, Chris, and everyone who came to join the conversation. Big hug.
Yes, folks. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're always happy to see all your comments here in the chat. Hey, if you have any, just one last thing. We're past our time here. If you have topics, things that are specifically that you'd like us to get into, to explore, would love to know, and we'll definitely look into that. So just leave it in the comments, in the chat, wherever. We'll take a look, and see you next week, right?
2 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then, everyone.
Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. See you, everybody.